Hot damn, Dimity Pixels back at it again with another retrospective. My name's Greg and I'm excited about this one. Today we're going to take a look at Alien 3 on the Game Gear. Regardless of your thoughts on the movie, the game tie-ins were all pretty good. Many tend to think that the Super Nintendo port is best, but as a Sega boy myself, I loved the Mega Drive version back in the 1990s, but each to their own. That's not to say I don't understand why folks love the Super Nintendo port. It is pretty great. This Game Gear port is essentially the Master System version of the game, as many Game Gear games were. I didn't play this myself until very recently, and to be honest, I wasn't sure what to expect. But let me spoil it for you now. I was pleasantly surprised. Developed by Probe Entertainment and published on the Game Gear in 1982 by Acclaim Software, this was one of many Alien 3 ports trying to cash in on what was, at the time, a pretty major movie release, particularly for a horror/sci-fi. I'm a massive Alien fan, and a fan of massive aliens, and Alien 3 came right at the peak of my fanboyishness. Is that a word? It is now. I was pumped for the movie, and when it came out, I wasn't disappointed. I still love it, as different as it was, and I know there's lots of people out there that disagree with me, but that's fine. The game, though? It's about as different to the movie as you can get. Sure, you play as Ripley, and she even seems to have her shaved head, but that's where the similarities end. Where the movie had a single alien, this has many. Where the movie has no guns, again, this has many. In the game, you're tasked with rescuing prisoners and killing aliens, all within a time limit. The levels are maze-like, so the first few times you'll be learning where the prisoners are, so that in your next attempt, you can find them all quickly. Of course, being an old-school run-and-gun game, it's pretty challenging. You only have 3 lives, for example, and no continues. So you probably need to have a great memory in order to be able to finish it legitimately. Although I'm sure there are plenty of big brain awesome people out there that did. I wasn't one of them. It really would have benefited from a level select system or just some continues at the very least. A map would have been handy too, especially given the time limit. But I guess being old school, people were probably drawing their own maps back in the day. Truth be told, there is a level select, but it's hidden away. For those that want to know, it's up, down, 2, left, right, 2, up, down, 2 on the title screen. And yes, I made excellent use of it, although I didn't check out every level. Okay, time for a brain dump. Here are some thoughts I had while playing the game. Firstly, fall damage is mean. Although in reality the damage taken isn't huge, so it's not a major problem, but I still found it annoying. And you know what's also mean? Carrying damage over between levels. I mean, come on, this game is challenging enough as it is. At least refill my life when I start a new level. Movement, and in particular jumping, is a real problem. It's floaty, it's hard to be precise, and animations need to be complete before you can attack again. This means you can get trapped and killed too easily, especially given this is a platformer with quite a few challenging jumping puzzles. It's just not nice. Plus, aliens appear off screen far too quickly for you to respond. Further, I had no idea how to change weapons. I had lots of bullets, but if I ran out of whatever I was using, I was screwed. I'm pretty sure this is a me problem, but I pressed all the buttons and had no luck. Oh, and the bosses are a pain. They're either too easy or too hard with cheap, virtually unavoidable attacks. This guy, for example, he sucks bums. In terms of graphics, on a big screen they're not so great, but they would have looked lovely on a smaller screen. Lots of detail and everything, even some gore. And it's pretty easy to tell everything apart, so that's a win. I wish I had a copy to try on my Game Gear, but even if I did, mine stopped working a while back and I've never gotten around to try and fix it one day. The music is pretty great, I reckon. Yes, it gets annoying, but it has some catchy little tunes. And of course it only gets annoying because you'll be spending so much time playing through the same levels over and over again. In the 90s, run-and-gun games were incredibly popular. There were nothing new at the time, but by this point there'd been some huge titles, particularly in the Contra series. Metal Slug wasn't released until 1996, followed by many other titles in the genre. I don't expect that any of these were modelled after Alien 3 in any way, but that's not to say it wasn't impactful. In the end, it was a good movie tie-in, which was rare, especially at the time. Honestly, run and gun was the only genre that would have worked, even given the different tone of the movie. Overall, Alien 3 on the Game Gear, and I guess the Master System as well, but I'm yet to test it, is a lot of fun despite the jankiness. I guess it's hard to strike that balance between being too challenging and being too easy, and unfortunately, due to the janky controls, this tips way to the too hard side. But that doesn't actually make it a bad game. It's just not going to be a classic, which it honestly could have been with a few tweaks and maybe a few additions. I ended up playing it for the full hour, replaying the early levels many times over before I realised there was a level select code, and when I say realised, I mean Googled, so I never finished it. Part of me wants to go back and check out the later levels, so I'm pretty sure I will one day, maybe, when I get time. If you want to play it, well, you'll need original hardware or an emulator. Given the licensing rights, I'm pretty sure we're not going to see this in any collection anytime soon. I say don't miss out and give it a spin. And that's about it for today. Thanks for checking out my channel, and I hope to see you back someday. Let's play all the games.